So, good evening. I'm in preparation here of fixing and overhauling all my internal vacuum actuators for my flaps. And as you can see in the picture here, we got a brand new aspiration blower. That is the part which went out, which was the video from 3 days ago. And that came in, and I got lucky because this was made November 25th, 2014. So that has sat on the shelves here for Mercedes-Benz in the United States for the last 7 years now. But anyway, we got one, and this is coming from Bosch. I would say there probably won't be any more once they run out. That might be one of the last batches. And let me show you and how this works. We can see it now, it's running. And now here, whoops, if I can keep my connections going here on this thing, which is a little bit tricky. Yeah. No. One of my contacts does not want to go the way I go. Here you can see it. Let me see if we can get it further back here. I should have brought the connector with me. This is how much suction this has. If I can get my arm, no. This is tricky. Yeah, let me see if we can get a better connection here on this thing. These contacts I have here are too large for these small things. Now you can see it. There we go. And now I have to actually turn off the meter. So this is how much suction they have, and this is the toilet paper test, as you can see it. And all it does is that hose attaches to this, and it goes straight up to the interior light. So we have a new motor that will go in. And I got a few other items, and I wanted to show you a few tricks and a few things which you actually will need if you have to work on them. The first thing is for the fresh air switch over, there is 2 of these double vacuum elements, and I have 2 of them here. Both of them came from Mercedes-Benz, and they were made, let me just see, and I'm going to say something in a minute, in 2020. Both February 12th, 2020. So they're about 2 years old now. And they sat on the shelf here. And the reason why I bought, even though they have 2 different part numbers, is the part number actually for the long stroke. They have a short stroke and a long stroke. And the this is the 5875 is discontinued. There's element number 95, 98 in the drawings. And they are no longer available. And what happens now is the 85, 75 is no longer there, but they use exactly the same vacuum part of it and base unit. And all you do is, if you can't, this is what you can do with almost all of these modules, is you just need a screwdriver and go, let me see, I had this one here open, I think. Yeah. All you do is you go in there and you open them up just like this, and then this whole thing just comes out, and you can just slide in the long hub from your old one. So whenever you have a vacuum element, there's only 2 types out there: the double chamber ones and the single chamber ones. And if you need an element, you can replace this stuff here. Say like on this one here, you would open it up and take it out. And then you just take this out, this inner part, and replace it with what you need. Say like with this one here, for instance, I haven't opened this one up yet. Oops. This one here is a year older, but you can see this here. This one has this style. It's a double one now too, but I can basically put this on this or swap them out. And the easiest way to do this is on the single ones. On these ones here, it is easy, but if you ever have to take one apart, all you do is you basically go underneath here and you lift this over. Actually, from this side, it's probably going to be better, without breaking this, until you hear it snap. Real careful. Oops. 1, 2, 3, and this is spring loaded, so you have to be careful. So they come apart like this, and then you have to cover the spring and then the internal element, and you can take this out by just moving this whole assembly out, and you put your other assembly in here. So if you had this out of your old one, for instance, you can use this, the new part, disregard just this part then here, put this back in here, put your spring in, and then you go in, line them up, and you snap them in. There we go, on all 4 of them. And that's all she wrote. So you can swap this basically out, and the double ones are the same thing. There's a spring in here and a spring in the middle in 2 of these rubber elements. So for my missing 8575, 5875, is I'm going to use this here, and I just transfer this part over. I don't even have to open them up. And then I have the correct stroke for these 2. And then we have the other one. This one here I had to get off eBay because that is no longer available. This is the front one, and that is the one for the, I believe this is the warm air center vent. And this one here, I just had this one here, this one here. This is the one for the defrost flaps. And this one here goes to the driver's side footwell that sits back there, and that is the air scoop flap, or the diverter flap. That's what they call that. And I had already replaced the actuator for the footwell, for the, yeah, that's I guess what they call that, the for the foot area, where that comes for the foot flaps. That came out. This one can be real easily exchanged too without taking it out, because it is difficult. This has a clip on it, and all you have to do is just go in with the screwdriver and get that pin moved up here. You see this? And then the pin comes out. You don't want to lose this. I did this actually in the car with a pair of needle nose pliers, which I don't have. And then this whole thing comes out like this. You take the element out, you put the new one in. You have to hold that in place. It will just snap in when you push it in. Oops. Come on, you son of a gun. There we go. Now it is in, and then you put the clip back on. Now the clip fell down here somewhere on the floor. Anyway, I did this in the car, and this is an element too, which you can take apart real easy. Spring loaded, and you can see it. This is my original one. This is what was in there, and you can see this and how this actually comes out. So you can really assemble and disassemble that. What usually happens on these elements, all of them, is that this rubber here dries out, this diaphragm, and then it becomes brittle and it falls apart. But this one, to my surprise, was still good. But I replaced it anyway because the history on this has taught me, you get this here, has taught me that these things will go bad rather than stay well over time, especially when a car has sat for a while. And you know, then they usually tend to go out, and because it is difficult to get to them, you might as well do all of them. And I believe there's a company which sells these diaphragms. Or the other thing is, I cleaned this unit off. This was a used one of eBay I got for $15 with free shipping. And what I did is I took it apart and I put it in my ultrasonic cleaner with dish soap, and it cleaned up nicely. And you can see the membrane or the diaphragm in here is in absolute great condition. And the way you can tell if these are new or used is the new ones, they have this white powder on here. You can see that. See, all of them have that white powder on those. So this is how you can tell a brand new unit which has never been used versus one which may have been cleaned up. But this will last for a while. And like I said, is the internal membrane is so good that I don't think that this is going to cause any problems. This came out of an accident vehicle with a very low mileage, which was probably parked in the garage for most of its life. So I got lucky here with this one. Like I said, is this one they no longer have. This one here I got new old stock of eBay, also no longer available. And then the long stroke, the 5875 is no longer available. You can get 5775, buy two, and just replace, take this off and put the longer part, actuator part here from your old car, from your car, the old one, and put that on, and then you're gonna have new elements. So this is gonna be the next job. This one is tricky because it sits on top of the assembly. That is difficult to get to, and I will explain that in a minute on how you do it. And so is this part here, the footwell part over from the rear side or back side on the driver's side. That is also more difficult, but this one just snaps out. You just have to get in there and then pull this really hard in that direction, and then turn the vacuum element out. You can see this, they have a rounded part here, and they basically turn in like a screw, and the same way they come out, all of them. So they go in and out with a twist. The right will lock it, that's clockwise locking, counterclockwise unlocking. And this one is mounted in there with 5 rivets, so you have to drill the rivets actually out. And in order to do these two, this one here is actually the easiest one. In order to do these two, you have to basically take out the entire center console in order to get there to this one here, and then the one on the top too. The airbag or the glove box has to come out. All of that underside on the passenger side has to be removed, but I have to remove that anyway because I have to install the pump. By the way, this system has 2 hoses, and in the American parts manual, that L-shaped hose which connects here to the other hose coming from the interior light is not listed in there. So I will post that, or when I do the video of when I put this actually in, there will be a video of this here. I don't know when I'm going to get to this. It will be a video. I will put that part number for that L hose in there in case that is missing or damaged. This also has a clamp and a foam piece which goes around, and Mercedes-Benz still has them available. That basically will hold that in place in the case that the clamp goes bad, and the foam piece around here is for noise, so this thing won't be audible at all basically. So I got all set up here with this stuff. So this is just some ideas, is if you cannot find a part, is to get another part and take them apart and put them in an ultrasonic cleaner just with dish soap, and then you can basically build them yourself. Put them in. This just slides in from the top, and that's why that is easier to just disconnect it and then reconnect it. And that should come out like this here. I did it a little bit too awkward here in the first bite. Now, the other thing is what goes bad on those is these little 90-degree elbows. And what happens is, if you can see this, let me see if we can zoom in here real quick. Let's see, there you can see it. See, this has a funnel-shaped entry on both sides. Well, this doesn't look as nice, but this one here, we can see it better. Yeah, they are funnel-shaped. And those ones, you need about 20 of them, because they're sitting on the switch, and they're sitting on the on each one of these actuators. Actually, there's 1 or 2 actuators which use the 180-degree elbow, and this would look like this here. And then the 2 elements which do the switch over between cabin air and fresh air, they use these here, these 3 way connectors. And here too, let me show you this, where the issue is with those. These are all MB parts. You can see they wear out here on the inside, and that means that plastic hose which sits in there starts to leak and bypass air here. And they're sitting basically on these hoses, on these here like this, and then they have a connection going over to the other side from here, feed. So you have the green one going over to the same chamber on the other side, and that other chamber has then the 90-degree elbow on here to match up with this here. So they're sitting on here like this, and those are the ones which starting to leak. So you have to replace them all. These parts are not very expensive. These rubber pieces, they're like $1 or $2. You need only 2 of these here. You can see this, how well they're actually holding up when they're new. Now, I found if you don't want to get them, or you cannot get the Mercedes-Benz elbows, which is easier to assemble, is I went to O'Reilly's, I went to AutoZone, which is the closest car parts store here to me, which is about 10 miles away. The closest Napa I got is like 20 miles, and O'Reilly's is like in the middle, it's around 14, 15 miles from me. At AutoZone, this is their standard stuff, what they have here. The, I think that is 532nd vacuum hose. This is the stuff what they sell by the foot. And this works. You could use that to put that on, but it is not that good because it doesn't fit well with the actual plastic hoses. And I found online this here, and I forgot now what company it is. I know it is made in Thailand. I have some more of this stuff around. This is actually SAE tubing made in Thailand. And let me see, we zoom back in. Now it won't let me zoom. There we go. Made in Thailand. This is actually the hose which works the best, and I think I got 10 feet of this stuff on eBay. And the nice thing about this is, this here, even if you make a 180-degree turn, it will not kink, it will not squeeze. So when we put the stuff together and I find the rest of this, I will put that into the link too. But this is basically all what you need. Is you can go lucky with this stuff and find new old stock on eBay, like I did with this part here, Mercedes-Benz part. And you know, these parts are fine, and they will outlast probably me, because if this here lasted 33 years and these new ones are gonna last 33 years, I'm 55 now, I'm gonna be 88, and I don't know if I'm gonna make 88 or not. You know, who knows? But that's just something I wanted to show you. So you can take them apart. Like I said, is on the old ones in your car, when you get them, you basically go in and carefully, you know, lift this down like this here. And you will get the hang of it. And you don't want to break those here and you don't want to see any white lines in there when they're weakened, but you can use the old cap with the new cap. You can just replace this stuff, unless they're really brittle. The worst cars I've ever seen was one of the 560s I had back in 2004. I bought that. I was living in Hawaii at the time, and the car came in from, that was an Arizona car, which in 2004 was an 87. So 97, the car was 10 years old, 15, 16 years old, and this stuff was all gone. 15 years in Arizona, 16 years in Arizona, this stuff was toast. I mean, it was just baked. There wasn't one vacuum element in there which was still working. So I got quite some experience with those. And on other cars, like in this instance here, where we got the used one here, this one here, which is probably 35 years old, this came out of an 87 or 86 model. You can see this, it is almost in pristine, absolute pristine condition. It makes a huge difference whether or not the car is garaged and kept in darkness in a fairly stable temperature environment, or if the car is in extreme climate like in Arizona, and you got, you know, environmental conditions, the car's parked outside in that heat and that sort of stuff. But that basically concludes it, and you saw the TP test, our toilet paper test with the motor blower. So the next time when we have this thing in the car, we can put our little toilet paper on the interiors assembly up there where that sensor is. And then you will see it. It will suck that little paper on it. We're going to be back in business with the climate control here. Oh, another word is, I checked today on the temperature sensor, on the in-car temperature sensor for the 124s, and for this model here for the 126, that style, what we got in that interior light, where that is basically part of a plugged in. Neither one of these temperature switches or sensors are available anymore. So if they go out on you, the only option you have is to solder in a new NTC. Otherwise, you're going to be out of luck. And without that sensor, if the sensor itself is off, it's going to be a pretty difficult task to get the air conditioning system to work correctly. If anyone wants to know where to get these NTCs I bought, which are the correct ones for that, just let me know in the comment section. And I would like to thank you for watching the videos, and I would like to thank you for all the people who subscribe and, you know, ring the bell, and for the likes. That is greatly appreciated, and we will see you the next time when we're going to put this stuff into the car. You have a great evening.